Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Litecoin Underground Podcast. I'm pretty excited this week. I was able to talk to the foundation, the Litecoin Foundation. I've been back and forth with them working on trying to get a regular Twitter Spaces set up, or X Spaces, I guess they're called now. I'm kind of refusing to comply with the X.com. I like Twitter. I wish they would have stayed Twitter. But anyway, and so we're going to try to start doing a monthly Spaces with some people from the foundation, and really just a little bit like my normal Twitter Spaces. Conversational, talk about some community updates, projects people are working on. So not just fully the foundation. And so this was the first one. It was I thought went really well. I was happy with it. We kind of covered some basics, some news from what's been going on in Litecoin, all the different bounties that are out there, some of the stuff going on with ordinals, a little bit of MWeb updates. Miss Teen came in for a while, so I enjoyed it, and I hope we keep this going. So hopefully we're going to keep this. The plan, I believe, is like the first Friday of every month, even though this wasn't technically the first Friday because we had some technical issues the first time we tried it. So if we can set that up regularly, I hope you guys can join. I think we did the first Friday. The first one was at 5 p.m. Eastern. I don't know if that'll be the case always. I think mostly what we want to do is make sure that people from other parts of the world can participate. So, for example, I think in Australia at 5 in the morning, it'd be like 5 in the morning over there. So, not exactly an easy time for someone to get up and listen. But who knows? I would like it to be steady. We'll find out. But anyway, as always, thanks for listening, guys. And have a good week.
Take it away, man.
All right. Well, I'm hoping this room will fill in quite a bit. This is kind of a new thing for me, at least working with doing something for the Litecoin Foundation. But I've been doing Twitter Spaces. If you guys don't know who I am, my name's Grant. I've been running the Litecoin Underground for almost 2 years, since Litecoin's 10th birthday. And I do a Twitter Spaces every week, and I've been kind of urging the foundation, like, hey, why don't we do something a little more regularly? Get together, just kind of some informative spaces, nothing super formal. I know they like to do ones for big announcements and that type of stuff. So I'm hoping this is something we can make a little more regular. And I really want to use these, just to kind of give you guys updates. Hopefully we do updates, kind of news and developments regarding Litecoin, maybe even some crypto in general talk. Announcements of events, as you guys may or may not know. There's quite a few things coming up with the foundation, and even some community projects. I know if you aren't paying attention, it's really hard if you're not on Twitter all the time to keep keep tabs on all the things that are changing constantly with Litecoin. Not changing, but I guess developments and new projects that are coming around. And then maybe David's generally the on-chain data guy, but I went and got some on-chain data that might be kind of interesting. And then finally, hopefully, just kind of you guys can come up and ask questions if you want. I've been practicing the last couple weeks of a thing, like a little quiz show thing I've done. So if there's time at the end and we're dead, maybe we'll do like a little quiz show. But only if you've never been in my spaces before, because that's cheating, because we talk too much about it. So, Alan, I don't know if you got some things specifically you're going to want to cover. I kind of wrote out a bunch of stuff. If you want me to just kind of take it away, I don't want to hog everything. If you got something you want to make sure we hit today.
No, I'll let you can run with this. I think, like you said, we'll work on doing this, making this a monthly thing. We'll dial it in as we move forward. This being the first, we're a little on the foundation side. We're a little bit fragmented at the moment because we have some people that are out of town at the moment, and we've got this the proof of work summit coming up, which we can talk about a little bit as well, and some other things. So it's been a little crazy, but not for it's mainly because we're just trying to make these things happen in the best way we can behind the scenes. So, but we'll be able to definitely get this in gear. And I think the idea of a monthly spaces with the foundation is perfect because it'll give us an opportunity to sort of discuss the news, kind of kick it off with the latest, news and other things, and just keep the community, involved and answer questions, and and that's a great way for us to get feedback too. So
Yeah, it was funny. Cake Wallet had us spaces, and they said they were going to do them weekly, and I was like, "Really? You're going to do a weekly spaces?" Because that's harder to do than you. I mean, not patting myself on the back because I do them weekly, but like to make sure you got something to talk about, you got to space them out a little bit. So hopefully we might bounce the time around a little bit to hit some different markets, minor at a time when like Europe can't really listen. So we might try to bounce times around too. Um, so obviously there's a Litecoin Foundation spaces. I'm assuming everybody here, you're following the foundation, you understand kind of what their purpose is. And well, here, that's whatever from you guys' website, promoting the adoption and education and development of Litecoin. And I thought it might be kind of good just to take like a minute and step back and look at some of the successes of the past few years. I know that sometimes like the foundation I think can be a bit modest because you guys aren't necessarily intimately involved in all the things that happen and all the adoption that happens, but it's certainly been a good place where I think businesses feel very comfortable adopting Litecoin, obviously because it's very decentralized. It's been around a long time. It functions flawlessly. And they know they have a resource of, maybe some help and assistance from the foundation when it's needed. And so I'm going to give you the highlights. I was writing these out. And it might be going back a few years, but Alan, I'm sure you've been around long enough. Like for me, I've been around since 2017. Actually 2016, I think about it. But do you remember back then when everybody was dreaming of the big announcement? Like Amazon's going to announce they're going to accept crypto or something like that. Like every minor announcement was like, oh my God, it's gonna be the craziest thing. And now there's so many things that have happened in the last 2-3 years that it's almost like it doesn't seem like that big a deal anymore. But in reality, it really is a big deal. Just looking back to, I mean, really the first big one to me was the PayPal one. That was late 2020, and before that, I mean, there really was not a lot of crypto adoption by businesses. So like PayPal and Venmo have added the 4 coins, right? What I call basically the Mount Rushmore of
and
coins:
to be
Litecoin,
clear on the
Bitcoin,
PayPal thing, that's
ETH.
something that actually Litecoin Foundation had nothing to do with. Even Charlie had nothing to do with that particular one. So it was actually great to see, because this is what we really want to see: is it's not just driven by one party of the foundation, but other parties recognizing the value in making things happen.
Yeah, I mean that's representative of like it's this thing that's in demand, right? It's not that if you're forcing something, or like if there's a business out there that's paying people to get me on this exchange or whatever, it's not going to last if it's not a legitimate, if there's no real legitimate demand. It's just temporary. So that's what was great to see. I mean, so there's those 4 coins, right, which come up over and over again. MoneyGram adopted Litecoin. I think it was maybe late last year, and they only had 3 coins: Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum. EDX is a big exchange launched by all these investment banks. They adopted 4 coins on their exchange to start, right?
Yep.
The main 4: Bitcoin,
Coinbase as well.
Litecoin, Ethereum.
Even I think back in 17, it was just Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, I believe, from what I remember.
Yep. Well, and then I guess Bitcoin Cash in August when
Well,
they split,
yeah.
but and then in Canada, there's only 4 coins that you can buy with no limit on them, and it's the same 4 coins: Litecoin, Bitcoin, ETH, and Bcash. So I think that's like a testament to this staying power of Litecoin. I even saw an article today. They were talking about Grayscale. They won their case, and so they're saying this paves the way for Bitcoin to have an ETF. And this guy wrote kind of a small thread just saying, well, obviously next is going to be Ethereum, and then after that you're going to see Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, because that's been the pattern everywhere you go. So I think that's a testament. I know you guys don't take credit for it. You can be modest, but there's obviously something that's being done right if Litecoin continues to be at the forefront. yeah, I'm just going to rattle off some cool statistics. Second on availability on ATMs. Second on BitPay, like super close to first. We were first for a month, but still really close there. We can maybe go over that later. And then growth in all sorts of metrics. I mean, I know at the summit last year in Charlie's speech, it seemed like every single stat had 10x'd in the last 2 years or something like that. So, yeah, and one thing maybe you can speak to a little bit was the development side of things. Obviously, MWeb Mobile is what everybody's waiting for. Maybe you don't have an update today, but do you have like a status of even like a time frame of when we can expect that, even if it's very rough?
Yeah, I hate to put David Burkett on the spot. I know he's working on this light, the idea, so we can have ultimately a light client, right? So that whether it's Light Wallet, the wallet that we developed through Litecoin Foundation, or any wallet that wants to support MWeb can implement it. And it's it's there's been a lot of like things that hurdles and other things that he's had to achieve, but I know he's making a lot of progress. And I don't want to, don't quote me, but I think he's hoping to have released by the end of the year. So we can kind of go from there. But I know he's working hard on it. He'll be giving a talk as well he won't be at the Proof of Work Summit, but he'll be at the Litecoin Cruise. So he'll be actually giving a talk there during our, time where we're going to have some talks, and I'm sure he'll be able to update everybody and stuff like that. But at the moment, we're kind of hoping for the end of the year. But again, I don't want to, how it goes with development. I don't want to commit anything on his part. But that's definitely
and you never know,
is
right?
the light.
I do want to I do want to share a couple things because you talked about this new proof of work thing. I don't know if Loshan's listening. I went to his page and he basically is like a news feed for the foundation because he's got every single tweet of something coming up. He's got on there. Let me find the Proof of Work Summit. So again, if you guys are newer to Twitter Spaces, up at the top, above all the speakers, there's a little area.
Yeah,
It's called the net. It's called the nest.
At least kind of what we have planned for this year, and at least kind of go from there as well.
Well, what is the Proof of Work Summit? Like what? I guess, and we know there's going to be a number of different communities there, right?
Yeah, you can go to powsummit.com is the website. So we've had a Litecoin Summit 3 years, 3 years now. And I think it was 17, 18, and then was it, or I can't remember exactly. It was 18, 19, and 22 because of COVID. Everything was shut down, so we weren't able to do it. Our plan still is to look into having summits, a Litecoin Summit specific as well. But one thing we also noticed during the summits is that a lot of the things we discuss with Litecoin are also, they're proof of work related, and a lot of our talks are in terms of development. Other things are not only good for Litecoin, but good for proof of work, good for Bitcoin and the ecosystem. So one way we thought it'd be great is to reach a wider audience, is to do kind of more of a proof of work, less coin specific summit, at least for this year, and we're collaborating with the Ethereum ETC cooperative in this case to do that. So we'll still talk about Litecoin at the conference, of course, and several of us will be there from the foundation. We'll have a panel and so forth. But it's also, the focus is around just proof of work ecosystem in general, why it's important, topics like mining and, so many things. There's it's such a hot topic, right? Proof of work. And and we're also doing this outside of the U.S. this year, just to sort of reach kind of more of a global reach, because our summits have always been in the U.S. So that's kind of our goal this year, kind of a trial run with this and see how that goes. But that certainly doesn't mean we won't be looking at doing our own Litecoin summits as well. It's just this particular year, we thought we'd try something like this, see how it goes.
No, I think that's a good idea. That's going to be probably the hardest thing is, you can't have I guess maybe you could have a Litecoin Summit on all 6 continents, but that would probably be pretty exhausting. You need a bigger team, I'm sure, right now.
We're looking at some fun, exciting things as well for next year, but we don't have enough information yet. But yeah, we definitely want to have in-person events. I think that's important. There's so much that could be, online, but there's certain things that there's just something different about being able to go in person and really network and you know enjoy and discuss and kind of get more involved that way.
Well, then you've got also, I'm going to post all these things up there.
And then we have a Litecoin crew. So in lieu of the summit, we're doing this year the Litecoin summit. We're doing the proof of work conference, but we're also doing a Litecoin birthday cruise celebration on Litecoin's birthday, actually on the October 13th. It leaves out of Miami. It's a 3-night kind of weekend getaway. So the nice thing is if people have to work during the week, it leaves on a Friday afternoon, comes back real early on a Monday morning, and it's on Royal Caribbean. So it's basically your basic cruise where you get all the benefits of a normal Royal Caribbean cruise, but as part of the group, we're scheduling some specific group events. So during dinners, we'll have a group dining together. We're going to have a kickoff Litecoin kind of exclusive party that we've rented out some space for on the ship. We're going to have one of the mornings, the morning at sea. We're going to have some talks for a few hours. Charlie and some other people will be there we'll give some kind of what's going on and updates and stuff like that. A couple of other group activities as well, and then of course there's the island and everything else that people can enjoy. So it's sort of if you need a vacation anyway and you want to learn some things, I think it's a perfect combination of those two things.
Yeah, I mean, you get to rub elbows with all the big dogs, right?
Yeah, it's pretty intimate in a way too, because we have dining, the group dining will all be in the same areas. Like I said, we're going to have a special birthday party the first night. We're going to have these speaker sessions. It won't be, I mean, there's going to be several thousand people on the ship, but in terms of the group, it won't be like massive. So it's a great opportunity to meet, network, and have fun. So
cool.
hopefully, I don't know, are you going, Grant? Or...
I wanted to try to bring my family down there. I don't think right now I'm not, but I want to see if I can convince them to go. Because what I did find, it was like if you go as a group, it's like a great deal. It's like barely more to go with 4 people as it is to go
It
with
is.
one.
Well, yeah, they charge like minimum double occupancy. Exactly. And keep in mind it includes your food, and
Oh, it does. I didn't know
through
that.
the group we're going to have like a cocktail party, drinks and everything else. So you get quite a bit for the
The
price.
one good thing I will say is flights are pretty inexpensive. I mean, I'm in the Midwest, but just in general, flight prices have been really way down lately. I was looking at flying to go see a friend in Atlanta, and it was like God, there were like $60 round trip flights, Detroit to Atlanta. I'm like, man, I need to start traveling if it's going to be, that's cheaper than getting an Uber to the airport. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, and it's
yeah,
just
I'm trying to post the other thing I'm trying to do is post some stuff up in the nest. So like, just some reminders for you guys. Like the foundation has a newsletter, so you can click on up there. There's a link that you can subscribe to the foundation newsletter. I've got a whole bunch of these, man. Uh, and then the store, that's the other one that I think we need to talk about a little more here. There's some really cool stuff on there. Who designs all your guys' logos? Is that all Robbie? The stuff that goes on the clothes and stuff?
so Robbie, it's a combination of several people that have helped, and we've just recently updated the store, give it a kind of a little bit of a new look. Robbie, Michelle Mafra has helped quite a bit. Loesch on some of the back end stuff, and feedback from other people. But yeah, we have some really cool stuff on the shop, which you can see, when you on our website, litecoin.net. There's a link at the top that says shop.
It's up in the net. It's up in the nest. Just got to click on the link. But well, that was something, I guess, circling back to some of the stuff you guys are doing. I know it's, I mean, it's a nonprofit, right? So obviously anything we can do as a community to kind of help you guys out. I kind of wanted to mention, circling back to David and his development on MWeb, something that's interesting that's been happening, if you haven't noticed in the last maybe 3 to 6 months, is I guess we'll call it a crackdown on privacy coins. That might be a fair way to put it. So, like in Europe, Binance was going to delist a bunch of crypto coins. Monero, Decred, Verge, Dash. I'm trying to think of the big names, bigger names, privacy coins essentially. And then they rescinded that in June. And then just again this week, they announced that they're going to delist those coins in Europe. And I know, like in Dubai, those coins are delisted. And one of the things I think that when David and Charlie designed MWeb, I think they were very careful in the way they put it together to make it where it's giving you a good level of confidential transactions and that personal privacy without maybe triggering or angering the regulators in a way to where it's still something that is something that can be a useful tool for them, and but you can also still maintain some privacy. I think that's one of the best things that maybe we don't talk about with MWeb is that it's obviously not being seen as, I guess, frowned upon, I guess, by regulators, right?
Yeah, I think it's sort of sort of walks that balance between at least giving some level of basic privacy, but not being considered a full privacy coin. And I think the fact that it's optional from a regulator standpoint, at least, makes a huge difference. I mean, just like looking at Binance, for example, I think they even mentioned a while back when we came out with MWeb that they'll support Litecoin, but just not from an MWeb address. Well, that's fine. So you use it when you want to, and when it comes to exchanges, they can't use it, then they can choose that as well. Um, it's a tough one because some people want full privacy, and I completely understand that. I mean, there's personal privacy is a right. On the other side, but then at the same time, how do you achieve like mass adoption if you have to deal with regulators and some of their crap? And so how do you walk that fine line? Um, and so I think that the idea is, well, what can we do to have a basic level of privacy while walking that line? And that means concealing three things: the sending, receiving address, and the amount sent, which are probably some of the most important things, right? If you're going to create privacy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's got to be your first step, and really, that's, in my opinion, that's good enough for
It's good enough for most
your
people.
general day-to-day stuff. Because the reality is, if you're going to like work with exchanges anyway, you don't really have a whole lot of privacy as it is, right? If your coins are on an exchange, they know exactly where your coins are and what you're doing with them. So it's like, I mean, there's a certain amount of you're already sacrificing a certain amount of privacy in that sense.
Yeah, I think yeah, exactly. But it's important to have some level, and this is where I think Bitcoin. And I'm a big Bitcoin supporter, but Bitcoin suffers in the fact that there should be spending cash at a store. I would even say using your credit card at a store offers probably more privacy than Bitcoin because when you spend cash, or let's say use your card, nobody knows how much money is in your bank account, right? They can't really trace that back. So yeah, there's kind of different things there in terms of using credit cards, but this is nothing more than the same level of privacy that you get with traditional spending, right? Um, and I
Yeah.
don't think that's unreasonable at all. Um, in fact, like I said, some people, would argue that even more privacy is needed, but it's a good start.
Yeah, it's step one. It's
I
definitely.
think Bitcoin ultimately, I would love to see that on Bitcoin as well. They move much slower, but I think this is when it comes to money, this is so important, and fungibility. It helps with fungibility, so that certain coins aren't, tainted or not accepted because they have maybe some questionable history that you weren't even a part of, right? So there's a lot of benefits.
Yeah, exactly. All right. The other thing I wanted to get into, I was hoping to have some people here. We were kind of, I don't want to say scrambling. We were scrambling a little bit to get this coordinated yesterday, Alan. And I was trying to reach out to some people to see if we could have them just kind of give us a quick rundown on some community stuff that's been going on. And really, I would say the ones that stand out to me Indigo Nakamoto, he's been, I guess this was started in February, really. He kind of just on a whim decided to create a bounty for porting ordinals from Bitcoin over to Litecoin. And, people from the community chipped into the bounty program, and he was able to raise something like maybe 20 or 25 Litecoin to get that to make that happen. So essentially everything you can do on Bitcoin ordinals, you could do on Litecoin ordinals. And then the next step was to get, I think it was a marketplace. They needed a marketplace. So he reached out to, oh man, hang on, Unisat, I believe. That's what it's called. Yeah, I've got it right here. And he put a bounty out to port Unisat over and called it Unilit, which, if again up in the nest, you can see Unilit is now active on Gate.io. So all these ordinals and LTC 20 tokens are now able to be traded on Gate.io, which is again, very cool. And it's all just community driven. I mean, not to say that the foundation isn't doing what they should be doing here. No, I'm just kidding. But it's just a way. It's nice to see that's happening too. So he did that one, and then there was a third one. Oh yeah, he got Mempool. Mempool.space is a Bitcoin. Oh boy, I guess a way of observing the blockchain. That's probably the best way to say it. A way to visualize the blockchain. I'm trying to find where that is, and he ported that over, and it's called lightspace.org, I believe. I'm looking it up right now here. Bear with me for a second. Yeah, litecoinspace.org.
You can also, if you go to litecoin.net, on the top menu, there's an Explorer link. You can also use that to go to Lightspace. And yeah, big thanks to Loesch there as well, and even Robbie for their help in that. It's an awesome Explorer. And I don't know if Indigo is here, if he wants to maybe elaborate a little bit more on what he's doing. But
he couldn't be here. That's what I was gonna say. I asked some people to be here, and just the timing wasn't right for them. So the other one was Luke. What's it? Luke Wright, I believe his name is. Luke. So let me give some usernames. Indigo. I don't know how many people are even named Indigo, but he's just Indigo _ Nakamoto. So follow him. He's been working a lot on this development. And the other one is Luke Wright Main. Wright with a W, like WRIGHT. So Luke Wright Main. He's been really leading a lot of this ordinal and LTC 20 stuff as well with Litecoin Labs, I believe. I'm gonna be because you guys work with Litecoin Lab, right? There's a Litecoin Lab and a Litecoin Labs.
Yeah, I guess that's a little confusing, right? Well, we have we're working with Litecoin Labs. Litecoin Labs is a collaboration of Litecoin Foundation and Ant Pool, where we're yes, the idea there is they're actually donating half of the mining revenue from Litecoin mining into sort of a DAO, and ultimately we'll vote together on how to use those funds towards Litecoin projects in the Litecoin ecosystem. So that's the goal there. It's still the plan. We've done a few things, but we're still building up the account, and ultimately we'll be able to do some pretty cool things with those funds.
Well, what I want to say is if you are interested in the ordinal stuff, Litecoin Labs has a Discord. That seems to be the place where those are going. So reach out to those guys if anybody's interested in developing in that world. I can see we got a lot of these Wildcat Alliance people in the audience. I'm not sure if you guys have this is a community, man. They come out in droves. So I'm not sure if they're also, I think, doing something on Litecoin as well. Is that right, guys? Can you throw up 100 if you guys are doing Litecoin stuff? Maybe not. Okay. All right. Never mind. Maybe I'm wrong. Then what was the last thing I wanted to cover? What am I looking at here, Alan? Miss Teen's here.
The Litecoin Explorer, maybe. I don't know. You tell me.
Oh,
I missed.
No, that was good.
Hey, you got one of the Wildcat people that want to speak. Do you want me to throw them up here real quick along with Miss Teen or what?
Sure, bring them up for a second. Let's see.
All right, 1 second here.
Hey guys, quick break in the action because I wanted to tell you guys about Cake Wallet. You know they're the official Litecoin underground wallet. What I want to tell you really quick is all the exciting things you can do with Cake Wallet. I've been using it for a long time and they just keep adding more functionality for people that actually want to hold and spend their cryptocurrency. You know you can swap between cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Monero, and hundreds of others. You obviously can hold those assets, Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Monero in the wallet. You can buy inside the app if you want to. You can use Cake Pay, which is a bunch of gift cards. I use them all the time. I use them at AutoZone, Home Depot. I take my family to the movies. I take them to dinner, and I'm always using my Litecoin, and it's such an easy way to do it. They've also have a new way of invoicing customers, Trocador app. There's Bird Pay, so you can tip people on Twitter. You could even tip me, hypothetically, if you wanted to. You know, just go into Cake Wallet, type at LTC Underground, and send, I don't know, 10 cents just for the fun of it to try it out. So download Cake Wallet, and I'll let you get back to the show.
Normally I would be co-host in this situation, but for some reason we were having
All right, they're a
an
speaker now.
inability to be co-host. So David's like the producer behind the behind the curtain.
Camera 2 ready. Go to camera 2.
Yeah. All right,
logo
Wildcat
is-
Alliance, what's going on, man? You've come in before, right? To MySpaces?
Gentlemen, yes, of course. This is not Aslan. This is Hannibal, the other guy that's involved. I've talked to you a couple of times, sir. Yeah, how you guys doing? Very glad to come up here and speak to you. Love Litecoin Foundation. Your wallet's epic. I'm wondering when you're going to include ordinals. Now, that being said, yes, want to give a shout out to Rocket Epic. And I do want to thank all of you guys for allowing us to come over to your beautiful blockchain. We're multi-chain, by the way. We've been on Bitcoin and Litecoin and Dogecoin. I will say personally, I find Litecoin to be the best. So not being, one way or the other, just it seems like your tech works solid and it's exactly like Bitcoin. So there's a lot of problems over on Dogecoin. So I suspect in the future, there's going to be a lot more traffic coming over here. But anyway, yeah, nice to meet you. My name's Hannibal. I'm with the Wildcats that are down here. And yeah, we want to stop by and say hi.
All right, cool. Yeah. So do you guys have built a ordinal collection on Litecoin?
We have indeed. Yeah, we're also building a launch pad, which would be a no-code option for people who want to build NFTs on Litecoin. So if you want to make a collection, you can pop on over and make a generative recursive collection on our launch pad. That'll be out probably in about, I'd say 3 weeks, something like that. But yeah, we're highly involved in the Litecoin ordinals. Love it very much.
All right, cool. Yeah, I want to, one of the things that's hard to do is, and crypto is a pretty wild space as far as having to be kind of careful what you're dipping your toe in. But I know this is kind of a new thing people are experimenting with in the community, and the reality is it's a community thing, right? I mean, my spaces every week is just kind of something I like to do. I sit in my basement and talk on my phone to some people. But another great member of the community, Miss Teen, I got to tell you something. I'm gonna sound like Trump here, Miss Teen. Beautiful show. Every time I tune in, she's talking about Litecoin. I love it.
It's a wonderful, wonderful show. It's one of the best shows out there. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, big show. Can you talk, Miss Teen? What's going on? Got laryngitis?
Hello. No, I was trying to unmute, but then it wasn't, the button was just glitching out on me. But hello, family. How are you guys? I miss you.
What's going on? You've stayed true to your roots. I gotta appreciate you. You just used to be, what have you tripled your following in the last year or two? And you're killing it out there and you're staying yourself. I like that.
Thank you. I try to stick on my path and just kind of do my thing, stick to the fundamentals of the space over the pumpamentals of the space, which is self-sovereignty, freedom, peer-to-peer, borderless transactions, and yeah, owning something. That's the most important thing. And we're not here for all the other craziness. We're just here for helping people and spreading that positive message that is cryptocurrency and the revolution. That's probably the most peaceful thing out there. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you were here for the pumpamentals, you wouldn't be here anymore.
I would have hid once the Bitcoin went down past 30K. I would have been like, oop. But nah, I love what I do every single day. I love waking up, doing what I do. I do my show, which of course I cover Litecoin every day with the charts and stuff like that. And, it's so fundamentally relevant. So, I'm just waiting until the inevitable happens.
Yeah, it definitely feels like, I've said this last year. I think it's easy to get down on things, because price is definitely it's a mood. It's a mood, right? It's an, or what would you call it? A vibe, right? And an animal who comes in my space all the time, he said, yeah, I think we went from like 64 to 67, and he's like, it just puts a little pep in my step. And I'm like, that's 100% true. So it's easy to get down on things, but we've had just a year and a half of, or gosh, almost 2 years of seemingly nonstop just bad news between Luna and FTX and Celsius and BlockFi and all the banks that were, you know, crypto supporting banks that either went under or ended relationships. And so, I mean, it sounds all bad, but to me, that just that's the bad stuff that had to be flushed out, and there's no more bad news to drop, so we can just get back to building again. So that's just the nature of this thing, because it is kind of the Wild West, and it's this worldwide market that I don't think anybody has really an understanding of the size of it yet, until
that everything that shook out, and I hope that's the last of it, but with crypto. But
well,
it's all about
there's only two other big
all
things
about
left
leverage,
to drop.
right? It was all about leverage, and we didn't have leverage like a long time ago, and like we did just recently. And I think hopefully moving forward, we don't have that kind of leverage, and we won't see at least that kind of craziness. But it seems like every time things moon and just rip again, there's people that are going to jump in and take advantage of the situation, and people get greedy. I mean, that's just human nature. But we will see better days, higher highs.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I do want to open it up because we're down to, I want to make sure we get this done in an hour, and we want to have a Q&A. I have some on-chain statistics that I think are interesting, but I don't want to go too long and not leave it open to some opportunity for people to ask questions. So if people want to come up, feel free. If you don't feel comfortable, like maybe English isn't your first language, or you're nervous on the mic or something, like just DM me and I'll at least bring the question up for you. And I'm going to give some advice to people. I only have an iPhone. So if you're coming up to talk, this is something I discovered a few weeks ago, and I say it every week. So if you have an iPhone and you pull down from the top right corner of your phone, when you come to speak, there's a little thing called mic mode. And you can either be in like standard or voice isolation. Use voice isolation because it gets rid of all your background noise. And now I'm using it in my personal life. It's great. So it was something I discovered. I like to tell people about it. So, all right. Coinramp.net. What's going on? I better not hear any background noise.
CoinRamp, are you there, my friend? I think maybe they got rugged.
Yeah, it's really been strange. The fact that we couldn't co-host, and if you're having issues with the muting, maybe we're going to have some issues.
I don't know. I had issues earlier in the space, and I was just like, someone was actually talking to me, and it stopped and like kept reconnecting. So maybe it's just a spaces issue today.
Could be.
Animal's on too.
Oh, I'm not seeing him at all.
Yo,
oh, never mind,
up, guys.
I was looking down below. There he is. What's up, Animal?
Not too much, not too much. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, Feel Good Friday. What's a pumpy sound effect I can put in here? I'm learning.
Kangaroo.
Let's try this one. There we go.
Yeah, I want to talk briefly about another bounty that we have up and running, started by Indigo, and it was to port LitecoinSpace.org, that block explorer that we got going, in large part thanks to Litecoin Foundation. It originally started as a bounty, and we were kind of just like gung ho about it, and really didn't think about the hosting aspect of it and like who was actually going to take care of this baby once it's been created. And yeah, the Litecoin Foundation graciously opted to host it for us, which is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, I mean, LitecoinSpace.org, it's a beautiful explorer, just like Mempool, or was it Mempool Space?
Yeah, Mempool.space, yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, anybody
is
interested in learning about
in a variety
crypto,
of languages too.
No, thank you very much. The community loves that. That's one thing on Doge that they're missing. That's been absolutely vital for the ordinals, is to be able to see that. So thank you very much.
Well, hey, if you're interested in donating, or if you know someone, there's a bounty. I did post it to, well, not the nest, but to the comments of this thing. We've got 7.5 Litecoin donated already. Um, I I don't know. I'm thinking it'd be really nice to have them just opposed to each other, right? Like to have, because with the mempool space, you can drop down and see like, what's going on the testnet and the Bitcoin testnet on Liquid as well. You can explore that chain. And if the same thing were to happen with the Litecoinspace.org, where you can drop down and choose the Dogecoin blockchain, I think it'd be great for both communities, really, because I mean, a lot of people don't know that Dogecoin is merge mined with Litecoin, right? Like in the stroke of, I want to say genius and compassion, Charlie in 2014 decided to, adopt Dogecoin and have them merge mine with Litecoin.
He seemed to, he was like the main guy saying, hey, you should do this. This is a good solution for you. And really, I don't think they were aware that it was an option at the time, or it hadn't thought about it much, because they were having some issues.
And I mean, they were always such a great community. I remember in the early days, like the Dogecoin subreddit was just such like so full of like good vibes, right? People asking questions and others responding with really articulate and helpful answers. There's also this whole Dogecoin tip thing that was going on. People were tipping each other like thousands and thousands of Doge, just like to random strangers to help them get started, with their first Doge transactions and stuff. So yeah, I mean, if you guys want to see it happen, I think there's already one developer working on it. I'm not sure what the progress is there with him, but I mean, everyone's welcome to try to fork it. The code's open source. Check it out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's something that that tool, whether it's Litecoin, I'm already going to forget the dang name again. Is it just Litecoin? I don't know why it always bothers me.
Litecoinspace.org.
Litecoinspace.org or mempool.space for Bitcoin. They're great tools to just learn about how these blockchains function and just to kind of watch the blocks go by, watching the transactions get, bunched together in the mempool and how much the fees are, and kind of overall what's the hash rate. It's just interesting to kind of watch the machine go. And if you're somebody just getting into this and you kind of want to begin to understand how it works, I think that's a great visualizer. So yeah, it's interesting to see, Litecoin's a tenth of a penny to move some money, and Bitcoin, for some reason, Bitcoin had a crazy amount of transactions today. I don't know if you guys saw this, but it's jumping up again in fees. So we don't need to gossip about Bitcoin, but sometimes it's fun. So yeah, it's over $1 a transaction now on Bitcoin, and they've just seen a huge influx today for some reason.
At least miners are making money.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Miners have always made money.
I love my miners.
I wrote a long thread today about mining and mining profitability. I thought it was interesting, but nobody seemed to care about it. I was on my calculator. I have all sorts of numbers on my whiteboard at home and made spreadsheets and everything, but it didn't hit home with people yet.
Litecoin Underground, you should really come to my shows in the morning, because I have a bunch of miners that watch the show and I love them so much, and I think they would love it.
Randy, what are you mining?
You know what's interesting that's not happening to miners on Litecoin? I don't mean to jump in here, but I find in Bitcoin that they're actually starting to pull the rares for ordinals, and Litecoin's not jumped on that yet, which is kind of odd to me. So if you guys know anybody that does that, maybe try to push them to do that.
Don't know anything about that. Maybe go to Miss Teen Crypto's show. She can put you in touch with the miners.
We've got to do it. We've actually reached out to the third mining pool, and they had no idea about this. And we're all losing if we're not looking at this right now, you guys. So
the rare sat stuff you're talking
about.
about.
You got it. There's actually rare Litoshis.
Okay.
Well, and how do they get them? They just pick them out by block, or what?
So check it out. The guy down there, Aslan, that's given some emojis. He's like an expert in this. That's my partner. But basically how it works is this. They serialized all the pennies. All right. So certain pennies have like different rarities. So the miners have access to that. They can actually pull those out. Now, what's really cool, like we were in the room with Charlie, like Aslan was actually talking to him during the halvening. It was so cool. And to watch that mempool dude that you guys got made come over with that special block and everything, it was so like, it was just neat. It was so cool to watch. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm enjoying all this, man. We need to get everybody on Litecoin into this stuff because like we're not exactly jumping on. It's like kind of like slow going, but as soon as it kicks in, you guys are going to see way more people coming over.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. And I know that that's been ordinals are kind of a contentious topic at the time, and I've appreciated the foundation, staying out of it. Is that fair enough way to say it?
I think they should have jumped right in and
It's
put it
very
in the wallet, honestly, because it's one of the things that made most things happen lately, like even on Bitcoin. It's been the thing driving so much. So everybody should jump on it. I'm just my opinion.
I don't think from a foundation perspective, we're just saying, oh, we're staying out of it, not touching it. We've got, the number one focus is like, how do we achieve global adoption? And, the strongest use case is payments. And starting to see some of that pay off, like when we look at BitPay stats and other things. But we're certainly like anything that helps adoption in the ecosystem is that we could support, we will. Sometimes there's so many new things that always come along, and it's easy to just jump right on something. But it's two things. One, we have to have the manpower, of course, to take on new things. And number two, sometimes it's good to kind of see how things sort of play out and what's going to stick and what isn't. So it's not like we're not going to support or just ignore something if it looks like it's promising. It's just a matter of sort of finding that balance between
what I meant by that, Alan, is not
yeah, no,
not
I'm
that
just
you guys
saying,
aren't
like,
supporting it, but you're not, you didn't, and there was no like, oh, we don't
no,
like
no,
this,
it's
or
cool. I think it's a good thing though, because we should be open to like any way that can be adopted. And I'm kind of looking at like the stronger the blockchain is in general, the more value it will be, for whatever it could be used for. So because at the end of the day, your projects that you are laying on top of a blockchain are only as strong as the blockchain they're on, right? So if we can continue to do that part and build it and create adoption and payments and onboard merchants and grow the usage more and more, then if there's other things like ordinals and other applications on top, then yeah, I mean I think it's great to see.
I say a full block is a happy block. That's what I always say.
Numbers don't lie. The thing about it is, if you look at things like Counterparty and the other protocols that have showed up before ordinals, none of them came anywhere near this. So for adoption, this has been the major thing. Like we are watching this on multiple chains now. So if you guys don't want to focus on it, it's going to end up being something that you're late on. That's just, I want to try to impress that.
I think what I'm trying to stress, Wildcat, is that the foundation's here to be supportive. They're not here to necessarily like the community's a lot. It's an open source, right? It's a not, they don't control anything within the blockchain. So the reality is the community can build what they want to build.
That's the beauty of it.
I'm appreciative of the foundation.
The moment the foundation becomes a gatekeeper, we start having issues.
Exactly.
But
what I mean.
we'd love to see the community and like Indigo we were talking about, and what you're doing. What everybody's doing is amazing. And if there are ways we can help support that, we will. It's just there's so much we can do. We want to make sure we also don't drop the ball on some other key things like MWeb and privacy and other things that we're trying to work on. So it's just a matter of but it's awesome to see more people involved, and I think that'll continue. We see there's a lot of there's just massive potential ahead, and it's going to take more than just the foundation.
I know Al Lighthouse is in here. He was in here, I thought, but I know he said that there's been a lot of activity in Hong Kong and China, I believe, seem to be very more focused on Litecoin than Bitcoin ordinals and LTC 20 tokens and all that. So that's exciting. I mean, you're talking about literally billions of people over there. That's a lot more than we've got over here. I can tell you that. I do want to talk a little bit about the BitPay stats. So, this is something that obviously it's been a bit of a feather in our cap as Litecoiners. BitPay added Litecoin. They dragged their feet for a long time. I believe I think maybe Roger Ver had something to do with ownership of BitPay. I think
you're probably right. Go ahead.
Well, yeah,
There's
the the
there were a
CEO.
couple of players within BitPay. It wasn't all Roger, but he was definitely, yeah.
Right. I read some articles like the original CEO said something like, I will never add Litecoin because he was maybe an early maximalist, right? And so it took a long time and we didn't get added for almost 10 years onto the platform. And it happened in July of 2021. And pretty much instantly, Litecoin was the second most used coin. At that time, I think Bitcoin was something like 90% of transactions were Bitcoin and 10% were made up of, yeah, ETH, Bcash, Dogecoin. I mean, I think they even had like, God, what did they have before us? Some of them that I just was shocked at, right? But all these stable coins and everything. And pretty quickly moved up into maybe 10 to 20% of transactions were Litecoin. And then during this ordinal surge, um, after slowly gaining for 2 years, Litecoin actually surpassed Bitcoin in transaction volume. And BitPay is the number one processor of crypto payments in the world, I believe. And so now that was June, right? Did we pass them in June? Or was it July? June, right? And then July it was neck and neck, and again in August, like I posted it up there, like maybe maybe a percent or two difference. It's up in the nest. And so a third of the transactions are on Litecoin. And what I think is really important to pull from that is that after the original surge of fees on Bitcoin, it was $5, $6, $10 to send Bitcoin. Obviously, people abandon Bitcoin and go, well, I'm going to use something else because I'm not going to spend $10 to move my money. And they moved to Litecoin. And now, even with Bitcoin fees dropping, I mean, it was 50 cents or something for the last couple months, and they've stayed using Litecoin. And I think that to me says a lot. It's kind of like what did I say? Once you go Litecoin, you see it's the right
Well,
coin, something like
like you
that.
said, so
You
this
know?
this Litecoin's added a little bit over 2 years ago. So it's not just been growing while Bitcoin fees were high, and this is over the last 2.5 years. We've just watched it continue to climb in terms of payment count. And it's pretty amazing to see it neck and neck with Bitcoin, considering how much larger the Bitcoin ecosystem is. And I think there's no question, in my opinion, that Litecoin can arguably has a stronger, if not a stronger, use case per market cap or per size than even Bitcoin. I mean, you can argue the store of value, but I think Litecoin will ultimately end up being a great store of value as well. So yeah, it's pretty amazing to see that. These are real payments, right? These are actual payments. These aren't just one person sending to another wallet address.
Yeah, it's not like exchange to exchange, or yeah, moving money from one wallet to another. It's in commerce.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
I think Litecoin's is the amount of transactions on Litecoin is equal or more than, like, I think ETC, USDC, and pretty much all the other coins below it combined. So with the exception of
It
Bitcoin.
just makes sense. Like I don't know, I'm thinking about like the future of money. If you're at the store, you want to be able to pay and leave. You want it to be cheap. So why wouldn't you use something like Litecoin? Obviously you can't use Bitcoin at the store, Ethereum, because it's too slow. Ethereum is too expensive. It's just not even feasible, especially during the bull market. What are you going to pay, like $100 for a $10 coffee and a croissant? Like, it just doesn't make sense. But Litecoin does make sense, and it's always worked. Like 100% uptime, longest running blockchain with 100% uptime. Not even Bitcoin can say that. I just think it's underrated, and it's probably the best tech in crypto.
Oh, here, hold on a second.
Sorry, we were switching to co-host. Thanks, David, on that. Yeah, no,
Yeah, you betcha. Hey, Al, also, I sent you an invite, so come on up.
yeah. I mean, thanks. And by the way, Mr. I always call you Randy. I'm sorry, I know, because Miss Teen Crypto, the teen thing isn't there
No, you can
anymore.
call
So,
me. It's
but I think it's awesome. Always appreciate everything you do, and I think you're reaching the sort of that target demographic that's so important too, and educating people as they come up, so that they really understand early on how to do their own due diligence and research, and not just jump on things that are potentially shills and scams, and really get so hurt that they maybe don't want to get back into space. So this is yeah, I really appreciate everything.
Yeah. Well, just to reiterate, the BitPay statistics to me are like, again, it's people felt forced to go use it because the fees were where they were. And then they used it and went, okay, this is way better. and they stayed. And I think that's really the big hurdle we've always had. Litecoin, we don't have a big marketing department or something, but as fees force people into these other coins, and they're on PayPal and they're going to actually want to take possession of their coins, and they see that it's whatever $3 on Bitcoin and a tenth of a penny on Litecoin, they're going to, it's just a natural incentive structured. So it's just nice to see that sometimes we have these beliefs about human behavior and we assume that's what will happen, but to actually see it happen is nice, like confirmation of that belief.
It's
right?
not only nice, and I'll take it a step. Yeah, I agree. One step further. It's really important. I mean, when we talk about money as a use case, there's generally two key things, right? The store of value and actually using it to buy goods and services. And I know, and again, this is not a knock on Bitcoin so much. I'm a big supporter of Bitcoin, but the general feeling is it doesn't need to be so much of a means of payment as much as a store of value. But if you remember, just recently, when we've had, and we still do, all these on ramps and off ramps are being cut off from traditional banking. In fact, we're still finding challenges getting a bank account just being in the crypto space. So when you see all that stuff, like, oh, you're cut off from the banking and all these other things, well, what does that mean? Well, if we ultimately we need to build that payment ecosystem to a point where we're not relying on that traditional banking, because everybody was panicking because we're still needing that. We're still needing the fiat system. We still need to make payments in fiat. But ultimately, if we have this whole circle of payments, say with Litecoin, you could pay for something, that particular vendor can buy their supplies with Litecoin, and the whole circle there. Then all of a sudden you're not really caring as much about on ramps and off ramps, right? Because everybody's using it. So I think payments is really a big part and really important in terms of growth, and not relying on central powers that can shut things down if they decide to.
All right, looks like we got a new person up. I can't. Well, I should be able to see hands, but Arizona Bitcoin, you came up. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Just wanted to say, what's up, Randy? Love your face.
Hi, Arizona. How are you?
I got a friend who says that every time I see him. He goes, "It's good to see your face." Do you have a question, or you just want to say hey to Miss Teen?
Pretty much just wanted to say hi to Miss Teen. So I'll step down, but keep doing the great work.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's very sweet of you, Arizona. I hope you have a lovely weekend and a happy Friday.
Thanks, you too.
And stay zesty, of course. You know that.
And pay with Litecoin. Don't forget that, Randy.
Yeah. I feel like Miss Teen's gonna be president. She's gonna be like, "We're just gonna rename it Friday. It's Friday from now on." Official. Everybody get the day off.
Every day is Friday. Every day will now be Friday from now on.
David, bro.
I'm impressed how many people can do Trump impressions. I mean, not to minimize yours, but they're all very good.
Yeah, just to follow up too, in terms of BitPay, we also have seen like other like Joma Shop that sells like high-end watches and stuff. They've had several like sales of watches in the tens, or I think even $100,000 range via Litecoin. So we're definitely seeing not just BitPay, but a lot of other adoption slowly but surely.
What's funny is you go to their site. I mean, I don't know if they accept other cryptos, but every single sale they have seems to be Litecoin.
I would think they would, well, at least accept maybe Bitcoin, but I just keep hearing about Litecoin.
Yeah, go to their thread. It's every single. You're like, okay, there's got to be some other ones in here, but it's almost like there's some whale out there that's just loves watches. He's just spending all his Litecoin on watches.
We should mention too. Well, we can talk later. I don't want to take up too much time, but we are going to be releasing these Litecoin block cards as well pretty soon.
Oh yeah. I don't. I wasn't sure if I wanted to. Well, I have a thread. Loshan has. I'm telling you, he is like the Litecoin news. I know. I'm sure you guys do too, but he's a good filter of news. He puts just the big announcements out. So, and Loshan doesn't follow me. I'm a little disappointed in him.
Is he here?
Don't worry, he doesn't follow me either.
He doesn't? What the hell, David?
No.
If he was here right now, we could get him on and see what he has to say.
All right, anybody? Do other people want to come up?
He must be a Democrat.
Ask questions. Anybody else out there want to ask questions, I'm going to check DMs, make sure. I doubt people are DMing me, but you
But
never
just to
know.
mention real quick while we're doing that, we will have for in celebration of the halving, we're going to be listing a Litecoin block card. It'll be basically we did this for the last halving, but this time it'll be a block card made of 50 grams of silver, and on it will be 6.25 Litecoin. And the beauty is it's actually mined directly to the card, so it's never been spent, right? It's kind of like fresh, a dollar that's never been spent. It's just right off the press. And it'll be stamped, it'll be numbered, sequenced. I think Charlie's going to sign like 21 of the 500 as well. Those will be auctioned, but we don't know an exact date, but it should be sometime this month that we'll sell those. And I think they're going to be really cool. They'll be encased and a really nice collectible. And again, it's Litecoin that's been mined directly and has never been touched or spent. So stay tuned for that.
I love that.
It's
like
beautiful
clean,
cards. I don't know if you've seen the last. Oh, these ones are even nicer looking. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel the zest here. I don't know.
It's
gonna be on an ounce of silver, right?
Yeah, it'll be on 50 grams of silver, 0.99.
Okay.
Yeah, grams of silver.
Hold on a second.
It'll be
Hold
etched.
on a second.
That I'm kind of on the fence about that one. I mean, it's not bad. The noise, I can't tell if it's like somebody's.
Hey, was that the 1 hour? Was that the 1 hour marker?
I'm trying to hype the room up. That's exciting news.
Actually, you did it right at 1 hour.
Oh, that would be more like. Hang on, I got more.
These will be beautiful.
That's for the watch.
Let's run. We can run just a few more minutes, kind of like when they shove a few more transactions into a Bitcoin block.
I'm good for like
throw a few more minutes in
I
there.
don't know what you're the host, so I don't know.
I'm not going to answer that.
I'm good. I mean, if has anybody else got questions that come up? Like I said, I could do a quiz. I don't know if we should do like a. It's been fun, but let's just end it where we're at. Maybe come to my spaces on Wednesdays and we'll do a little quiz show, and I might give away a little Litecoin or something.
Tell us more
about the giveaway.
No, your spaces, man.
Oh yeah. Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. I've been limiting myself in the past to 3 hours, but the last 2 weeks I've gone over. So I do like long ones. We talk about everything, anything and everything, but a lot more. And we do some crypto stuff, obviously, and Litecoin centric, but then we also get into a lot of just news and world events. And I don't know. It seems like anything, like, a little bit of sports, maybe. Chief down there, he's got a sports show. I'm not sure if we're going to do it tonight. We're going to try to do a regular NFL show on Friday nights, right, Chief? Give me a 100 or something. So that's somebody else out there. And then who else is creating out there? Kyle, right?
Yeah, he's not on here now, but yes, him. And
he has a podcast as well. So I have
obviously Miss Teen Crypto too. So
yeah, I have a podcast.
Yeah, when's Miss Teen Crypto in the morning? What time?
Wildcat, I will fill you in, no problem. The Daily Zest runs weekdays at 9:45 a.m. Eastern. It's a great time. I cover charts, I show videos, and I cover all of the daily crypto news sprinkled in with some positivity and community chats.
Are we coming?
Will there be cookies and refreshments?
Absolutely. You might even find a chocolate strawberry somewhere, if you're zesty like that, Alan.
Oh, I'm zesty like that.
Do you create on weekends, Miss Teen? Do you do weekends at all?
Weekend, sometimes I do. I've done some streams where I go outside and I actually touch grass, and I do a stream when I'm touching grass outside and I talk about crypto. And I also do other streams where I bake cookies. Sometimes that's on the weekends as well. So I just try to sprinkle in content whenever I can. Of course, I post daily everywhere, but even if I'm not live, there's.
Can we all agree to touch grass? It's just one, every day. It's just so important.
Yes, space. Alan. I know you travel a lot, Alan.
So you literally go and touch the grass. That's what I want to know.
Alan, where's your favorite spot to touch grass? Because I know you're like a world traveler.
I haven't been traveling too much, but I got to tell you, I just came back to a place in Mammoth, and it's one of my favorites. It's just so beautiful up there, it's spectacular. And but I'll touch grass pretty much anywhere. I think it's just so life is hectic.
Have you seen that stuff? This type of stuff I'll get into on my show, where like there's literal research about grounding, like putting your feet onto the earth.
Yes.
Actually, it's like supposed
20
to
minutes a
balance
day,
the
baby.
electrons or something like that? Is that
20
legit?
minutes a
Sure.
day. Yeah. You can also boost that by wearing some copper on you at the time too.
20 minutes? Ain't nobody got time for that.
Everybody has time for that.
I'm just kidding. All right, I'll have to get out there. Maybe I need to go out there.
Yeah, go outside, Grant.
All right, if I have to sit back on my back porch and drink beer and listen to music tonight, I will.
I stayed silent, but I got one life hack for everybody. If you have a garden, put up some copper wiring wrapped around and going into the ground where you have the vegetables, the fruits. You'll see a huge boost in your yield.
So you like run it through, like it runs along the ground, or it comes.
It goes into the ground near the crops that you're growing, and I can honestly tell you it'll threefold your yield.
Well, and then you like run it around like the border of the garden, and it's up in the air.
Yeah, it wraps around like a pole,
Okay.
Like a spiral style. Yeah, and then it reaches out into the air.
I'm so jealous that you guys have grass to grow things. That's kind of crazy.
There's too much. Trust me, I got too much grass.
Yeah, I wish I had a patch of it,
One might
man.
take that in a variety of ways.
Yeah, no. I mean, like I need some goats or something.
Only if you're from California.
I bought a big yard, and it seems great until you got to cut it all the dang time. So, all right. Well, here we are. I think that's been pretty good. Anybody else before we go? Anybody got one more question or anything else to plug or anything like that?
We know the inevitable is coming. Be your own bank. Don't rely on anybody else but yourself. Do your own research. Stick to your decisions. If you have crypto on an exchange, put it in a wallet today. Take self-custody. You can always send it back and trade it. Do what you will. But be your own bank. Stick to the fundamentals over the pumpamentals. And as always, stay zesty. Thank you guys for having me.
Nice. Thanks, Miss Teen. I wish I had a canned answer like that.
That was pretty nice. I don't even want to say anything after that. That was just such a perfect way to
I speak from
end the show.
No, just go. You're supposed to mic
Let's
drop
do
and
this
go
though.
away.
Our goal is to do with the foundation and you grant once a month, and it would be really nice too, not only to talk about the latest news, but to also bring up people from the community that maybe weren't even here today that can talk about the things they're doing, because it's awesome to see people coming up and sharing the things they're doing. And we don't get, please know that we take note of everything that's going on, and if there are ways we can support through the foundation, we will. And it's just great to be able to have these conversations.
Yeah, I'd like to second that. We don't have a monopoly on how things go with Litecoin. This is a community effort. We just try to help, guide it and put those safety bumpers up, right? And advocate and try and reach as far as we can with whatever's going on. So people feel free, like Indigo and others have done, and make a difference.
Yeah, for sure.
And Grant, yourself making a difference. I mean,
a
weekly
follow.
spaces.
Grant's okay.
Spaces. We do a little music. Language is a little worse sometimes, but it should be fun. All right, guys.
All right.
Sound good? Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Thanks everybody. Appreciate it.
Everyone.
Stay zesty, fam. Peace.